Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Cup Interviews. My name is Jillian Robinson. I am the associate producer here at Cup of Hemlock Theatre, and I will be your host for today. And today we have an extraordinary guest. I am so excited to jump into this conversation. She is the co-artistic director of Afterlife Theatre Co. She's doing some solo things. She is landing all of the grants. She's doing wonderful projects in our community. I'm here with Carly Billings. How are you doing, Carly?
Hey, hi, hello. Thanks, Jillian. What an intro. I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. So I guess we'll just get right into it, and we'll start off with our usual icebreaker. What is in your cup today, Carly?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have myself a large tumbler full of black iced coffee because I love me some black coffee and I prefer my coffee on ice.
Love
Doesn't matter if
it.
there's 6 feet of snow outside, which there is right now, or if it's dead of summer. Iced coffee all day, every day.
Love it. Love it. I'm also a huge fan of black coffee too. So we got similar tastes there. I am drinking out of our cup. I just have some green tea, black as well. But
Nice.
yeah, just some green tea. Kind of have the winter sludgies going on. I kind of want to, green tea is where it's at right now. So
yeah, very relatable. Very relatable.
Totally. Okay, so tell us about yourself, Carly. How did you get into theater? What are some themes and topics that are maybe present in your work? The floor is yours.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, this is gonna be weird, but I've always been into theater. I don't know how to not perform. There's pictures of me as like a 2-year-old posing, like very drama. Like I don't know how to not perform. I've been doing shows for my family. I was one of those kids like, come watch me dance. And I would just turn on, like maybe Aqua, Barbie Girl, and just make my parents sit on the couch and dance. Also growing up, one of my very best friends, her name's also Carly with an E. And our sisters, my sister and her sister, all 4 of us, we'd put on like seasons of shows. So like one year we did Annie, which like sang to the soundtrack. We were doing Annie. We did like Mamma Mia. We did like a variety show at one point. So like I've never not been a performer because I just don't know how not to be. I just find such joy in it. There was my very first community theater show that I ever did when I was in like grade 5. It was Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. And I played a dwarf and I was small and in grade 5. And I had a tea leaf beard, like a beard that was Vaseline, and then they stuck tea leaves to it, and it was ear to ear. Some people had like a mustache or like a little like goatee. No, I had like an ear to ear extravaganza. Yeah. And I remember at one point the director was like, Carly, like that seems like a lot. Are you? I'm like, I love it. I was like, yes. And in my bio in that show, I had the line, I'll never forget this, it was the last line of my bio, and it was, Carly just wants to make people laugh. And so that is still the truest thing in my art and how I feel about art to this day. It's like the one constant is that I just want to make people laugh. I want them to have a good time. So I do a lot of storytelling is kind of where I've landed. My younger years, I did a lot of musical theater. I did a lot of performing. I went to Ottawa and I got a degree in theater and French immersion because I've always been in French immersion since I was a kid. So I was like, might as well do it for 4 more years. And it was fun. And so I've done a lots of different theater disciplines. I mean, I think all theater is theater no matter, like, if it's musical theater, if it's like theater, and if it's dance, like it's all theater at the end of the day. If it's opera, I'm not into labels.
Yes.
Right. There's so much intertwined, practices. And so I have been doing a lot of I've been lucky to recently the last couple of years been doing a lot of my own work, been like self-producing and writing a lot with Patrick and a lot with Afterlife. We've been lucky to do that. And also, on my own a little bit too. And it's been really weird. I live in Hamilton, which is the city I grew up in. And it's also the traditional land of my people, the Mississaugas of the Credit. And it's also the sister hometown to my grandparents' hometown in Italy. So it's very like lots of deep, deep roots. But I always thought growing up I would probably have to move somewhere else to do what I loved. I was always my mindset going into post secondary and whatnot was, oh, I have to travel a lot to be a performer and be an actor, which is true a lot of times on contracts and things. But I was like, oh, but I can't be here. I also should probably be based somewhere else. I can't make a home, make a artistic practice, make a life here. Though this is where my heart has been. So these past couple of years have taught me, no, that's not true. You can be and do and be wherever you want as well. So I've been really lucky in that as well.
Love that, and I can't wait. We're gonna crack open some of the little tidbits of info you just leaked about all the projects and stuff you've had down the line. And you did mention Patrick, and so yes, a callback to an interview we did at the end of last year. We did an interview with Patrick Teed, who's a dear friend of mine, a past castmate of mine, and also is the co-artistic director with you at Afterlife Theatre Co. So Patrick kind of got all of our viewers, listeners up to speed of what Afterlife is all about, but I kind of want to hear about it from your side as well. And also, like, what is it? How is it being in an artistic leadership position at this time? And as you mentioned, Hamilton is where you're from and where you've done some work, and you're also in Toronto. So what's it like operating a bicity company? Lots to go on there. The floor is yours.
Oh gosh. Well, wow, what an exciting opportunity. Just talking is my favorite pastime. But it's really an interesting thing. It's funny that when you pose this question, that what it feels like being in a leadership position, I was like, I guess it is. Like, and it is, but sometimes our cohort is so small, sometimes it still feels like playtime with pals. Like Patrick and I we've been like artistic collaborators for over a decade, but we've been friends just as long, like best friends just as long. And it's really interesting having a working relationship. But for Patrick and I, our relationship has always kind of been that way, where we've always bounced ideas off one another. We've always been kind of sounding boards throughout our growing as artists and as people. And yeah, it still sometimes feels like playtime with pals, especially when we brought other folks on. But when we brought other folks on for projects, that's kind of been like, oh, like maybe we do have a little something to offer. And sometimes though, when it's just Patrick and I, there's a lot of admin work and behind the scenes work that goes into producing independent theater. And sometimes it does feel a little like working for less than you're worth, or working a little like for a little less than we should be. But that's some of growing pains and things like that as well. And it's weird, I'd say, being in a leadership position right now. Everything that we've done as Afterlife Theatre has been online. It's which was a really interesting time to start a theater company in the middle of a pandemic, when we finally had a chance to slow down and kind of make the choice to invest in ourselves and in work we knew that we believed in and wanted to do. And yeah, it still feels weird. It still feels a little imposter syndrome, like my own theater company. I don't have that, but how can little me? I was like, I don't know anything. But it's you realize that with at least for me, I know that I know more this year than I did last year. And I know that the work that we're making now is exactly where we want to be and where we want to go. And so, yeah, being in a leadership position is very weird, but also very rewarding.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you about starting up. Cup of Hemlock also started in the middle of the pandemic too. And there's so many pivots, and especially from going in person and then going online and going in person in the whole hybrid environment. Yeah, there's definitely choices to be made, conversations to be had, but just gauging who you are and knowing who Patrick is too, like what a stellar team to bounce these decisions and projects off of. And yeah, like I'm so stoked to see what Afterlife Theatre Co is doing. And we will always keep on our pages what you folks are up to there, because it is some really great work. So you talked a little bit about operating the bicity, right? Like, so
Yeah,
Hamilton and Toronto. So I guess just briefly, maybe touching on that, and like maybe with future projects, do you think you'll always have a foot in each city, or yeah?
absolutely. I think the thing with us being a bicycle theater company and putting that kind of forefront of one of our identities, I think is exciting. Um, but it's also been weird because we've been mostly online, so it feels like we're kind of borderless right
Right.
now. But it's always been important to us. We're both from Hamilton, in the Hamilton area, and Patrick will say he's from Millgrove, but Millgrove is part of Hamilton. Um, so I'm gonna hear it for that. But fun. I'm based in Hamilton and Patrick's based in Toronto. And so to us, it feels also really organic because that's just where we are.
Yeah.
So I don't foresee us being based anywhere else based on who we are as people. Mm-hmm. But should, life and work take us elsewhere, it's very possible Afterlife will move with us. Right. But the roots that we've been putting down have been consistently, even throughout our careers as artists and not even with Afterlife, have been in Hamilton and Toronto and a few other places too. But most concretely in Toronto and in Hamilton. And I mean, as a Hamilton artist, I'm no stranger of going back and forth, of like living in between, like going every week for improv class and coming home and going for auditions and coming back and meetings and, and it's this new like Zoom tech world that we're living in has made things a little less borderless. So right. Running a bicity theater company right now feels like running, I guess, what I would know as a regular theater company in one city.
Totally. Well, and you bring something really interesting to the forefront of these companies who have sort of originated during the pandemic and sort of have their home has just been in like digital cyberspace. You kind of nonchalantly mentioning, if Patrick or my life, like it kind of takes us elsewhere, maybe somewhere else in the country or somewhere else in the world, the theater company will come with you. And that's just such an interesting concept to bring to the table too, because, up until the pandemic, right? Like a company's usually erected in a city and it's sort of, its legacy is rooted there and there only. So the idea of, the roving sort of flexibility that could come with an OG digital theater company. It's so fascinating, to think of. But I love that Hamilton is a core of both who you and Patrick are, and that's part of the company. And totally agree with the sort of ping-ponging back and forth to Toronto, to wherever you're at. That is the life. Okay, so you talked a lot about how you have been kind of this feeling of borderlessness with the company, and an extraordinary opportunity is actively happening now until February 22nd. Is that correct? Great.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
before I get ahead of myself, so one of Afterlife Theatre Co.'s awesome projects that they have upcoming and happening now is the opportunity for your show that just happened in the past, Hamilton Fringe. It was called "It's a Beautiful Day for Brunch. Enter Arrest the Cops That Killed Breonna Taylor." And you all just got a spot in a festival called the Living Record Festival 22, which is in the UK. So a digital festival for this show to be presented in the UK. So that's massive. Talk about borderless. We're going across the pond now. Tell us all about that. Like how did you get that opportunity? Yeah. Tell us all about it.
Totally. So it's really weird. We've been looking for a place for this show to live, at least for a little while, and hopefully we'll find a more permanent place for it to live, but we're really excited that it's part of Living Festival right now. And Living Festival is a grassroots digital theater festival in the UK. And the way that we came across it is I was surfing the Eventotron, which is where, when you sign up for fringes, lots of fringes use this portal called Eventotron, and different arts events use this portal so you can submit your work. And I just happened across it. It was like, Living Record Festival. What? Okay, what is this? And it was really low stakes for us in that they're so kind, and it's so community and grassroots that it's like apply and it's like doesn't cost you anything kind of thing, and you just have to maybe put in a little deposit so that you can hold your spot, but then you get that back in your revenue. And I was like, this is very awesome. This is very cool and it felt very current. And I thought, well, we already have a show. We've already done the work. Might as well like get it to a wider and bigger audience. And it really feels weird. When I hadn't thought about when we applied, I was like, great, another digital festival. It'll live on the internet, and the internet is its own place. But I didn't really think about, oh, this is its UK debut. This is like our, which it technically is, but because the internet's such a borderless place, there's also so many other wonderful works in this festival that are across the world, theater companies from all over and projects from all over. And it's really, it's very weird. It's still a weird, surreal feeling. And I'm just like, wait, I have a show running right now. And I'm just getting to sit here and talking to you, which is a joy. And I'm like, it's happening. Yeah, it's totally. The digital sphere is still so, like, we've been in it for over a year now, like, as a company, but it still feels so new and so exciting. And so, yeah, every time I just stop and think, wait, someone could be watching our show right now. What?
That's so great. And the whole festival is digital, right? Like everything is okay. Yeah. See, that is such an awesome space for global community. Like another brilliant, there haven't been many silver linings over the last couple of years, but one of them definitely is like connection beyond your scope, like beyond your tiny sphere. Right. And wow, that's so exciting. And do you know if there's like, even though it's all digitized, like, do they have any in-person sort of events or booths going in the UK alongside this festival or?
Sure. So I know that some of the shows are live but digital.
Oh, great.
Okay. I do believe they have a hub in the UK where they operate out of. I'm not sure about in-person events right now, especially with everything's changed so quickly in the past month, so it's hard to keep up with. But it's seeming like it's being received really well. The festival as a whole, once again, it was received really well in the past and first year that it was happening. So it's very exciting. Yeah, there's shows from all across the world, shows from the US, shows from us, shows from the UK, shows from all over, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And for us, it's exciting to hopefully try it out in like a new market and see what resonates with folks, because for us, this isn't the last version of the show either. We actually just received an OEC recommended grant from Tottering Biped to take this show and turn it into a bit of a, for the first steps to turn it into an in-person
great
like show, like traditional kind of show. And so it's very weird, exciting to still be able to have this piece live.
Absolutely.
See new faces. It's exciting.
You have to keep us abreast of what happens with Tottering Biped. And obviously, like I said, we will keep audiences up to date with that too. And I had the opportunity of seeing Brunch. Do you and Patrick refer to it as Brunch sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just,
okay.
That's just it's
I mean, I've only seen it once. I'm like, can I call it Brunch? Like, am I allowed to call it Brunch? But we had go ahead, go.
Brunch or beautiful day. Like sometimes
wonderful.
Some of the shorter phrases of that.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I had the opportunity of seeing the show in the Hamilton Fringe, and it was stunning, like something everyone should be seeing now. The dramaturgical choices, the whole knowing that it was sort of to be like a Zoom piece of theater, and how the piece sort of fit right into this digital medium that so many people were still not accustomed to. I just thought it married itself wonderfully to the Zoom platform. The imagery was stunning. The verbatim text was absolutely perfectly executed. Yeah, it was so good. I'm pretty sure I talked with Patrick for like 3 hours one afternoon post watching it because, as many people probably know from watching our reviews, I am a dramaturgical nerd. I can go on and on and on about, and that definitely is a piece that like people won't, you can, still to this day can't stop talking about it. And it's different ideas and different things that are um, sussed out. And yeah, so definitely, folks, we will post any links to this Living Record Festival so that you can tune in as well, happening until February 22nd. And I look forward to just seeing the more legs it gets as time goes on, for sure.
Thank you. That's so cool.
You're welcome. Of course. Yes. Thank you. So you mentioned the G word, grants. So we're gonna kind of go into grant land, and also I want to pivot us to you as an artist. So as you've kind of been mentioning, grants and funding have been successfully popping up on your end for Afterlife Theatre, but also as an individual performer. So you were one of 4 BIPOC artists to be chosen in Hamilton for part of the Garden Project. Now, the Garden Project was an initiative by Industry and Porchlight Theatre. And if viewers, listeners remember, about a year and a half ago, our Ryan Barakovich interviewed Erin Jan, who was in one of the leadership positions of the Garden Project, and mentioned how they were selecting 4 BIPOC artists to be a part of the Garden Project. And you were one of them, which is so exciting. Now, like everything's going full circle. And it was to perform your solo show, Meatless Loaf. So I want to hear all about Meatless Loaf and how you came into the opportunity with Garden Project.
Sure. First off, big fan of Aaron Jan. He's somebody I've known as long as I've known Patrick, actually. We all were in High School Musical together at Theatre Aquarius as young babies.
Cute.
Yeah, so we were we go way back. But it is like truly one of the most exciting experiences. The Garden Project is a grant that just is a bit of seed money to getting a new artistic piece off the ground. And there's also an incredible element where I've been lucky enough to have a mentor as well on this project for a little while, Michaela Washburn, who's one of the most incredible artists. And yeah, it's so the Garden Project has been happening so far for 2 years. It happened the very first year was the year that Erin was a guest. And then I was chosen as one of the 4 artists last year. And so my piece that I'm still working on is called Meatless Loaf. It's part storytelling, part culinary adventure. I like to call it the tasting menu of searching for who you are. It kind of goes into my thoughts and feelings on my identities as Indigenous and Italian person. And it is sort of like a lot around family and food and sharing, and it's really exciting. And so I am still speechless that the Garden Project was like, yes, you and your words should do that. And it's been such a ride, and it's still ongoing. The door that this opportunity has opened for me has been like, I cannot count the blessings that have come from it. And yeah, it's so lucky. And the thing about it too, though, is I applied for it the very first year that it was a thing, which was in 2020, and I didn't get it. And then I was like, I started posting for it again in 2021. I thought, well, maybe I should apply. Like, I'll take this because I applied with the same project. I was like, well, it's kind of come farther in my brain, and I was like, maybe if I apply this time. And sure enough, they were like, yes. So it just goes to show that's one of my things is like, I love hearing success stories that aren't a first try. I love hearing success stories of folks that were an alternate of like, did you know they originally cast this person, but then this person did it, and now it's their thing they're known for. And it's because it just goes to show that like talent is limitless, and like it's not always that you're not good enough or you're not good enough, or it's usually just not the right place, right time kind of thing. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that because I was like, I didn't get it my first try, and then my second try, it's been the gift that keeps giving, and I've been so lucky so, so lucky.
I totally follow that same sort of mantra too. Like I'm a firm believer, like what is for you won't go past you. So there's reasons for getting certain things. There's reasons for not. And it honestly, it's time and place of where you're at, of where, projects, opportunities are at. And like, wow, look at you now. Now it's raining, it's pouring all these
Oh my
wonderful,
goodness.
wonderful things. Um, Great. So you said your show is still sort of in the works. Do you have like sort of like a digital home for it? Will it be in person? Is it kind of going to be like a work in progress for some time now, or do you have some plans concrete?
I think it's going to be a work in progress for the foreseeable now, which is not really an answer. But I don't think it's going to be a fully digital piece. If it does end up being a digital piece, it'll be an interactive digital piece. It might be like a cook at home along with me kind of piece. But if it's in person, which is where I think it's actually heading, is it's going to be, I think, a little bit until it's seen. But maybe if I get to working, that's a good reminder. Carly, get working, get writing, get organizing.
No, don't rush the creative process. But yes, but again, we'll keep our eyes peeled as things go on. That is so lovely, so exciting, and again, a shout out to Erin Jan and a lot of Hamilton peeps for representing today. Love it.
Hamilton's coming out.
um, yeah, this is so great, so great. Okay, so in the whole grant land, still, I'm going to pivot us back to Afterlife Theatre Co. So, you mentioned that you and Patrick have received some recommender grants from the Ontario Arts Council. And this is for a new show that your company sort of has in the works. Are you allowed to tell us a little bit about that show? You don't have to, but I'm going to just say it anyways. I'm excited to know, but you don't have to tell us.
Yeah, I can give a little peek behind the curtain, a little bit away.
Cool.
Our show is called Uninvited Guests, and it commended by Studio 180, a Native Earth Performing Arts. And we are so grateful, so lucky, like beyond wildest dreams kind of feelings about it. And the show calls into question the practice of land acknowledgements, basically oftentimes shining a light on their emptiness. And I'm not going to give away too much more, but it's very much in that kind of vein. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Again, adding it to the list of things to keep our eyes peeled for. That's so exciting. Congratulations to you and Patrick. You're a bit of like a grant professional, a grant connoisseur, if you may.
I guess.
While we're on that train of thought, can you talk a bit about grant writing? I think this is an aspect of the industry. All of us as artists, regardless if you are a performer, if you are a playwright, this is something that we do in our career to get funding, and it's sometimes difficult. So I think we benefit you touching on it because you're skyrocketing with grants right now.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it. Because I in the past have also thought like, how do people get them? What do they like? Yeah. I'm out here like thinking maybe I should get them. How it's one of my favorite things recently to talk about because people don't talk about it. Like art can't get made if there's not money for artists to live from, because that's how our world works. So of course we have to find the money, and money often comes from the form of grants, especially here in Canada. That's like how 90% of art gets made. It's not by private funding or something. It's by grants. And it's wild. And grants are hard. Grants are tough. Grants can beat you down, and it feels bad a lot of the time to be like, I have this cool thing that I think the world needs. I just want to do it and put it out there. But I have to put a price on it, or I have to put, the cart before the horse. One of my least favorite things about grant writing is a lot of times it feels like you have to ask folks and artists for something before you can actually give them something. In order to ask for, in order to ask for a grant, you have to say, oh yeah, this project involves this person, and then this person.
Yeah.
But really in reality, you've asked them to be part of it, but you can't guarantee it, and it feels kind of yucky sometimes. But yeah, that's just the kind of world we are in, and it takes some getting used to. But grants that get the money, grants that are successful, I find are often grants that are specific but not boring. This is going to sound a bit like a riddle, maybe. Specific but not boring.
Right.
And like personal, but also can show the impact on the community and the folks involved. So it's a bit of a balancing act.
Yeah.
And as a Libra, I thought that was very inherent for me, but it hasn't always been, because for the 3 that we recently won, there's 15 others sitting in my computer with letters that said no thank you. And I said okay. So it is just keep at it and you'll get better and better. And things that I found that are most important that maybe I had omitted earlier in my grant writing days, which has been mostly like a while now, is things like letters of support. Like last year, say for example, in a grant that we were not successful with, we applied to the OAC for a theater projects grant for Brunch, and we were like, we're doing it at the Fringe. We would like some help to pay our actors and things, and to get good, better equipment and things. Please help us. And then we got a no. And it turns out one of the things that we could have done that would have helped our project grant was we could have had a letter from the Fringe saying we were participating in the Fringe. And I was like, what? Okay, I get, like, I had not even considered that the Fringe should give me a letter so I can, like, a permission slip, like, look, mom says I can go on the trip. And I hadn't considered that was an option or that even was needed. Yeah. And so going forward, and I am trying to check all my boxes with not only showing what's needed, but backing it up with, look, but I have this thing from this person that says absolutely yes. Right. And so just the more like grants also take time. My first few grants, I was like, I got this. Like I can do it in a week and it's good. And sometimes you can if you have, all your ducks in a row already done the work. But if you're starting fresh, that's a lot of work. And again, like keep trying. That's really that's my thing in general. I'm like, I'll just try again, maybe. And if it doesn't feel good to try again, then don't. Maybe there's something else to try. Right. But yeah, grant writing is also something I find. I mean, the reason that it's so tough and competitive in the first place is because there's not enough funding. But let's get that out of the way as well. Like, there's just not enough funding for the arts. We all know this probably, but also it begs being said. Like,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, the OAC funding, I'm pretty sure the demand has increased like 300% in the past 10 years, but the funding has not increased $1. So it's just it's a lot, but don't let that deter you. Your project is valid, you're valid, and just because you get a no doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means maybe you could do some tweaking and tightening and yeah.
And you mentioning too, like we don't talk about it often. Like everyone talks like about doing it for their set projects, but just getting in a space and reaching out maybe to folks who have gotten themselves a couple grants and kind of doing what we're doing now of like, can you give me some tips and tricks or just like a bit of a cheat sheet before I dive into my first grant or what have you, right? Like, because again, bringing up Aaron Jan, I remember Aaron at the end of his interview had said, tap me if you want to talk about grant writing. He's like, I don't know why I'm good at it, but I'm good at it. And it's great. It's these types of conversations where if we are supporting each other in each of our installments, sort of getting funding, I think it comes full circle. Like we have to support each other in order for success to be had. Right. So this is awesome. Absolutely. I know I have like a cheat sheet now. I'm like, okay, thank you, Carly, for all of these for future projects.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I learned a lot of what I do now from Aaron Jan also. He has a wonderful presentation. If you're, really lost, and this advice is not enough advice, which to be fair, it's just off my brain. Maybe
Right,
it's
right.
not. But yeah, like it's such a process. And some people are just very good at it. And also you get better at it as you go and the more you do it. And yeah, Erin is so incredibly knowledgeable. And yeah, what a resource. But yeah, it's grants. Wow. The big one. Can't
And
can't
it
live
does,
with him, can't live without him.
right. And it almost does, like, it does occupy half of your brain. Like, especially, I'd imagine if you do have like a piece that's still in the works and you know you want to put it up, therefore, you're going to need funding, you're going to need location to put it up, then like half of your brain sort of, right, like has to kind of have administrative helmet on as well as creative helmet. And it can make for long days. And it's like, you don't have the money to sort of block off part-time job hours for the grant writing. It's kind of is your own sweat and tears until the grant money comes, right? So it's hard work.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's totally hard work. And that's another thing that I also think that I didn't know getting into this industry until I was already in it, is we all wear a lot of hats. Like my closet full of hats. So
Full
many
hats.
different kinds. Some
Yeah.
have sparkles, some don't. One says director. Like
Yeah.
there's so many different roles we all play. And a lot of times being someone who's an independent producer, an independent artist right now, a lot of the making of your art is not making of your art. It's trying to find ways to make it feasible to make it, which is, yeah, really wild.
Right.
But wonderful too.
It is something. Yeah. Like little Carly, little Jill, who had dreams and aspirations. It's like, this is where, when you do kind of choose to go this avenue, this is the work part of it, right? Or like the way, of getting the ball rolling.
Totally.
But wearing those glitter hats every once in a while, you gotta revel in the
That
glitter
feels
hats.
good. We love it.
Exactly. Wow. Okay. Well, this has been extraordinary, Carly. Like, I love that we got to meet. I love that our viewers and listeners have heard so many awesome opportunities coming down the line. And you're not going away anytime soon. Like I said, our Cup of Hemlock pages are going to be filled. So with everything that you've done recently and everything upcoming, where can we keep up with it all? What would you like to plug with us today?
Sure. Oh gosh. Well, pretty much everything that I do can be found some way or somehow through my website, www.carlyannabillings.com. If you're a website person, if you're more of a social media person, I'm at Ms. Carly Billings on everything. And I also have a podcast of my own, which is another storytelling thing that I like to do. And it's called Ghosts Are Everywhere. So if you are interested in comedy, it's a spooky comedy podcast. And if you're interested in laughing and weirdness, then maybe that's a show for you. And of course, Afterlife Theatre is at Afterlife Theatre. And yeah, that's about all I think that I do. But who knows? I got lots of hats, and I love to wear them. So.
Yes. Moral of the story.
I was so glad to wear my invisible guest hat today. So
yes. Okay, well that's a wonderful cap. That's a wonderful cap off to the episode. Thank you so much again for spending this time with us here at Cup of Hemlock. We're so lucky to have you. As always, folks, like, share, subscribe, and we will make sure to put all of Carly's tags in the video descriptions. And stay safe, stay warm. It's very cold out there, especially when this interview is going up. And we will see everyone next time. Cheers. Bye, y'all.